Hey everyone, Benny the Finance Dog here. Welcome to my channel. Hope you had a great weekend. Every Sunday, as usual, we'll go over the upcoming week, things to look out for, as well as just charting SPY, QQQ, and Apple to give you some levels to head into the week with on a macro level. As always, we'll start with the economic calendar for the week. Pretty light. First half of the week, Monday, Tuesday, all we have is some Fed chair talks, or vice chair, I should say, as well as some reporting on consumer credit. Nothing major. Wednesday, though, we do get a CPI report at 5:30 a.m. Pacific time, so an hour before market open. We should see probably major swing due to that. We also have jobless claims and core PPI dropping on Thursday. PPI will probably have less of effect on the overall market than CPI, as people will be earnestly looking at CPI. CPI has swayed the markets in past releases. It's a once a month release. And this one, the expectations are that CPI comes in at 0.3% month over month, or 3.1% year over year, down from 4% last month. So it's a pretty precipitous drop from 4 to 3%, but I wanted to put a little bit into context for you from a historical standpoint. So if you go back to last year's CPI earnings, June CPI, which was released as the same as this one is in the month of July, was where inflation peaked at 9.1%. So with inflation at its highest last year, it wouldn't be so far of a stretch to say that prices came down quite a bit over that point, seeing as inflation had peaked at that point. So it wouldn't be too crazy if this CPI number did come in as expected. Core CPI is going to come a little bit higher. Its expectations are 5%, down from 5.3%. So core CPI may come in line. Overall CPI, my educated guess, might come over that 3.1% expectation. So something to just look out for in this week as Wednesday we go into trading. So Tuesday night, or Tuesday at the end of day, I wouldn't recommend holding any positions into Wednesday. As Wednesday before open, we should get a big move. Moving on, other than that, coming up next week, nothing really on the calendar to speak of, or anything crazy in terms of events, speeches, anything like that. That should kind of be on lookout for. It's going to be a rather, I hate to say, chill week in terms of things. I mean, obviously, CPI is going to be major. Keep a head out for that. The only other real event I can see on the earnings calendar that we do have quite a few banks reporting. JP Morgan, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, State Street, BlackRock all report on Friday. So with the banks all reporting, we kind of got a little bit of the rumor in past weeks as far as banks passing the stress test that they went through I think it was last week or the week prior, and passing pretty well, being able to handle, any type of run on the banks. Basically, they were stress tests, and a lot of them were able to go ahead and pass those tests. A few of them even announced raising their dividend. So Friday could be a sell the news type of event on these bank stocks, which could drag financials down as a core, which might drag the overall market down on Friday. So if we miss on CPI on Wednesday and then on Friday, earnings for these several large financial institutions aren't anything that is majorly groundbreaking. We could see a continued downtrend, which we have been in for the last, I'd say, 3 weeks, really. We kind of peaked on the third and kind of just been, or the week of the third, and been on a downtrend since there. At least on the daily chart, we can see that. So something to just be on the lookout for as we continue this kind of pullback of a month of July that we've had. So not a huge calendar as far as events, but just a couple of things to look out for. Now, as always, let's head to the charts. Look at SPY, QQQ, and Apple. Starting with SPY, as we can kind of see, we've been going through a bit of a down month, pullback month after we've had a crazy June. What I like to see sometimes in moves for the rest of this month, if we are going to have a downtrend in the overall market, I'd like to see us find a floor somewhere above the halfway point of the June candle. So we closed at 443. We opened at 418. So 43 minus 18 is 25 divided by 2, so 12. So somewhere around 430, we're still looking for that bounce. We'd like to hold above there. In my estimation and opinion, if we close above the halfway point of the previous candle, that's an indication that this bull run is probably going to continue into the rest of the year. If we close below that, we could have a couple of months of a pullback rather than just a 1 month pullback as we head into, the rest of Q3, August, September, and so on and so forth. So I'm really looking for that 430 level to hold on SPY. And, before we get there, obviously we have quite a ways to go, seeing as we closed at 438. So plenty of levels in between there and now to go over. So let's switch over to the weekly chart. We can kind of see that, 439 to the upside is a level that's worth considering. 440, of course, that we've held even as high as 443. Stumbling over my words a bit. On the downside, if we do continue this, I'd be looking for 437 to hold. 435 is always an interesting level just because of a psych responsibility. And then we do have a little bit of a support resistance turning into support at that 432 level, 432.50. So those are the levels I'm looking to hold on the monthly and weekly for SPY. If we switch over to QQQ, a little bit of the same story here. We don't have as far to go to get to that halfway point of the candle of QQQ. Last month we closed at 366 and 369, and we opened at 347, so halfway in between there. We'd be looking at 358 for some type of bounce. Last week we closed at 366, so we got about $8 to go before we find a floor. Should we see a continuation of this overall uptrend, we'd like to see the monthly close above that 358 level. Switching over to the weekly, we are still making higher lows even with these down weeks that we've had. QQQ continues to make higher highs and higher lows. It's not the greatest if this extension is going to run out, as we see volume has been falling precipitously over the last few weeks. Obviously, we had a holiday in there, a little bit of quarter end stuff. So some stuff to look out for. Up to the upside, 370 is always on watch. 372.50 would probably be the next level after that on the weekly. To the downside, we're looking at, of course, 365 as just a major psych level. 362.50, and then again a little support turned resistance, or resistance turned support at that 358 level. We'll probably still get a little bit of pushback at 360 just because it's a major psych level, but I'm looking for 358 to the downside on QQQ. On Apple, our baby, right? Apple seemed to have a little bit of bad news over the weekend, if you can even call it that. The Vision Pro headsets are going to be sold by appointment only, so that could cause a little bit of delay for them to fly off the shelves. Obviously, it's not going to be a core part of Apple's business like the AirPods, the watches, app revenue, phone revenue, obviously, but the headset having a slight snag out of the gates could see Apple react negatively to this news over the weekend. So just something to look out for. On the monthly, if we're using the same exercise as we did with SPY and QQQ, we had a open of 177 and a close of 193.97. Let's call it 194. So we're looking for Apple to hold above 185 on the monthly if they are going to continue this run up, which they look to do, as we closed above 190 last week and held that level through a tumultuous week. So it's good to hold that 190 level to the upside. That makes me feel confident in Apple going to continue up. Again, inflation and everything could change that on Wednesday, as well as this piece of bad news. Just something to look out for on the monthly. Again, to the upside, since we're dealing with all-time highs, we're really just looking for that 194.50 level basically for rejects if we do get to that level. And then, of course, over on the weekly, we get a little bit more inkling there. 190 still can hold a nice level. And then we would be looking for previous resistance to turn into support at 187.50 if we are going to break the 190 level to the downside. I think that there could be potential more downside if we do break that 190 level, just given the current environment and what we're heading into for the week. Projecting, I got a downside bias for the week. Obviously, just going to play what the charts give us, but downside bias is kind of where my head's at. So we could test that 185 level sooner rather than later, but hopefully that level holds and we continue on our track to 200. Hopefully Apple to 200 by the end of the year is kind of what I'm projecting. Could take a little longer if we see a major pullback, but you know, I'm in the business of playing this week to week, not over month over month. So, trade a plan, make a trade plan. I think one of the videos we'll do this week is going over a trade plan, just how to make it, how I make mine, and maybe we'll split that up over 2 videos. We'll only be posting if I actually take some trades. We're going to be a little bit cautious with obviously the news on Wednesday. Don't want to get into anything. I expect the kind of, maybe Monday to be obviously a lot of activity and maybe slow down on Tuesday as traders get ready for the reports on Wednesday, and then Wednesday forward to be, some pretty active volume throughout the back half of the week leading up to Friday's earnings. So just keep that in mind as we head into the week. Super excited. Hopefully you guys made a good trade plan and can add, my videos to the other videos you watch getting ready for the week. But thank you as always for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. Oof, oof.